Hey students, here is your lesson for 5-4, use partial quotients to divide. We are on page 193. Here is our learning goal. I can find quotients of whole numbers. Alrighty, here's our solve and share again on page 193. I'm going to read it and give you a chance to try to solve it on your own. I'm going to turn my camera just a little bit. There we go. Okay, so our problem says, a hotel sets up tables for a conference for 156 people. If each table seats 12 people, how many tables will be needed? Solve this problem any way you choose. So you could use our partial, method that we talked about yesterday with the little picture matrix, or you could use the standard method. Just try to solve it. Okay, let's go ahead and go through it. So if I want to set this up with that little area model, maybe is what they called it, I'm going to have a total of 156 in here. My missing number out here will be 12, but I have to figure out how am I going to break up that 156. So what we tried was 12 times 10 gives us 120. And if I did 12 times 20, I'd have 240. So that's going to be too much because 156 is my answer. So we're going to put 10 here. So 12 times 10, that's 120, like we said over there. Now I need to take my 156, subtract 120, and we get 36. So I'm going to have 36 left in here. Well, 12 times what is 36? 12 times 3. So 10 plus 3, 13 is how many tables that they need. You could have also used our does McDonald's sell cheeseburgers. In order to solve this as well, I'm gonna grab my marker, which I would just set my 156 up in my bracket. That's my dividend. My divisor goes out here, which is 12. And then I just break it down slowly. So I can start with, does 12 fit inside 1? Dividing it in. No, it doesn't. 0. Does 12 fit inside 15? You betcha. So we're going to put 1 there. Now I'm on multiply. 12 times 1 is 12. I'm going to subtract. 5, take away 2 is 3. 1 minus 1 is 0. Don't forget to do that second part because when we get to bigger numbers, this might not always be 0. And I have students leave it off and then they're not quite sure where they made their mistake. Did I check? Is 3 less than 12? Yep, we're good to bring down. So I go to my next number and we've got 36. Well, I might need to list my multiples. 12, 24, 36. This is where a multiplication chart can really come in handy. So pull one up on your computer or get the one out that I put in your Avid binder at the beginning of the year. So 12 times 3 is 36. So we get 36 down here. I'm going to subtract and it zeroes out. We get 13 again. Now there's another way that we're going to look at on the next page that talks about our partial products. Does more with like a bigger place value. Let's do it. Okay, so here's our theater. How can we use partial quotients to solve division problems? So part of the answer. It's sort of like what we did with our area model thing, because we're finding part of our answer and like divvying it up. A theater is 375 seats arranged in rows with 15 seats in each row. How many rows are in this theater? Let R equal the number of rows. So we're thinking, okay, 15 times what would give me 375? Or 375 divided by 15 is R. And that's because multiplication and division are opposites. So we can, and even in group, I've been asking you, okay, if I, this number times what would give you the other? How many times would this go into it? Okay, let's take a peek, see at their area model. Here, I think that's what they're calling it. Okay, so for this first one, they have their 15 out here, which is what we would start with. And then they would do 15 times 10. Well, that gives them 150. And our total goal is 375. So you think, that might not be enough. So 15 times 20, well, that gives them 300. So here is where it's like a guess and check. Here's where they're getting that 20 up there. And so then they know 15 times 20, that's where they get that 300. So then you take your 300 and subtract it from your 375. and you get 75 left over. That's how they're filling in this extra little section. And then they're asking themselves, okay, 15 times what would give me 75? And so they might have to, skip count by 15s. They might have to, start to work through, just like list out the multiples of 15. But we are seeing that they are getting 5 for that. So then I need to combine my two numbers up here, and I get 25 as my final answer. Here's the other way that they're doing it. They're putting 15 into 375, and they put it in 20 times. So they did this little 15 times 10, that's 150. 15 times 20 is the 300. If they do 15 times 30, they would have 450, which would be too big, right? It's not gonna go in that many times. So they did 15 times 20 to get 300, and they put their 20 up here. And then they wrote in their 300, and they took it away. So this method up here goes more like step at a time, like the standard method with multiplication. This would be more using our, we're just doing partial products with it. So first partial product was 20. We take out 300, we've got 75 left over. Okay, well, how many times does 15 go into 75? And that's when you would, again, need to skip count, 15, 30, 45, 55, 60, 75. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, well, then that's where they're getting that 5 from. 15 times 5 is 75. We subtract it out and get 0. So then they combine these top two, and they get that 25. Yokie dokie. Let's go ahead and work through a couple problems. I favor this the typical standard way. We can work a couple this way, maybe work one with that area model way. I think the area model way is cool, but not always super practical. So let's go ahead and flip over. Try a couple problems. Okie dokie. Okay, so our first one is 15 divided by 210. So let's try to break it down with our model first. So we'll have 15 here, and I'm going to do 15 times 10. Well, that gives me 150. 15 times 20, that's going to give me 300, right? Yeah. So I know 300 is too much, so we're just going to go for our 15 times 10. So we'll put 10 up here, we'll put our 150 right here, and now I need to take my 150 and subtract, that's obviously wrong, 210, take away 150. So we got our 0, got to borrow, 11 minus 5 is 6. And so we get 60 left over in here. So then we have to ask ourselves, okay, 15 times what is 60? Well, here's where you would list your multiples. 15, 30, 45, 60. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 right there. 10 plus 4 gives me 14. Can confirm. 14. All right. Let's try it with our partial products now. Swoopty swoop. Number 4, we're going to do 286 divided by 13. Okay, and with these guys in your workbook, you guys don't have enough room. Look at me. You don't have enough room. I want you to get some notebook paper, use those pages in the back of your workbook to write out the problems, okay? Because you just don't have enough space to fit all of your numbers without crunching them together, getting a little lost. And then why are we doing the problem if we're just crunching them together and getting lost? So just take the time, write it out, do it the right way, and then you don't have to redo it. So we are going to start with 13 times 10 gives us 130. So if I do 13 times 20, I get 13 and 13. So 13 times 2 would be 26. Add that 0, it's 260. Well, I could do 13 times 30. So I'm just going up by 10 each time. But I know that 260 is really close to 286. If I did 13 times 3, oh wait, 3 times 3 is 9. Yeah, so we'd have 390, so it would be too high. So that's not gonna be right. So bingo, here's the problem that we want. So we are going to put it in 20 times, and I'm going to pull out 260 from there. So 6 take away 0 is 6, 8 take away 6 is 2, and then that one zeroes out. So now I'm trying to put 13 into 26. Well, 13, and so then I would have to like start to add it in my head. I know if I do 13 plus 13, 3 and 3 is 6, I'm going to get 26, so there's the next step in that. So this would be times 1, this would be times 2. So we put our 2 up on top, 13 times 2, well we already know that's 26, and it zeroes out. So then I have to combine those two, 20 plus 2 is 22. Okay, let's do it one more way because we can. All the ways, that can't confuse you guys, right? We have 575 divided by 25. Okay, and so here's our does McDonald's sell cheeseburgers standard way? Will 25 fit inside 5, a smaller number 5? No. If you had 25, apples to put in bags and you only had 5 bags and you only want 1 apple per bag, you can't do that. You don't have enough. So we put our goose egg 0 there. Will 25 fit in 57? Yes, it will. And 25s are nice because you can think of quarters. So if you have 4 quarters, you know you have $1. If you have 2 quarters, you have 50 cents. And so counting by 25 is nice because they end in 5, and it's just something that we're maybe a little more familiar with. So 5, 25, 50, okay, it's going to go in twice. And you can even list those multiples because they'll help you all the way through the problem. Then you just go back and you don't have to rethink it. You have it written down. So 25 goes into 50 twice. I put my 50 down below because 25 times 2, here's my McDonald's, is 50. And now I'm going to subtract. 7 take away 0 is 7. Can't tell you how many times I see 0 on problems like that. A lot. Just be careful. Go slow. 5 minus 5 is 0 there. So now I have 7. Is that, I'm going to check it. Is 7 less than 25? It is. So now I'm ready to bring down my 5. Okay. So now I need to do my next part. I'm going to start over. How many times does 25 divide into 75? So it's almost like we just ignore this little part of the problem here and we're starting over. Well, I know my next one is 75. 3 quarters, 75 cents. So 1, this is times 1, times 2, times 3. 25 is going to go into 75 3 times. 25 times 3 is 75. I subtract it out. And my answer for this one is 23. You have been shown 3 ways to divide. I would like you to solve through number 6 right now. I want you first to tell me what method are you going to choose. We have our model method, we have our partial products method, and we've got our standard method. So which one of those 3 do you want to use? And then I want you to tell me your answer to that problem, and we'll talk about more in group.